and welcome to East Tennessee News Stories. A block party and information session on the proposed multi-use stadium was held in the city-owned parking lot at 400 East Jackson Avenue, beneath the James White Parkway overpass, Saturday, July 17th at 11 a.m. The block party was described as an opportunity to talk directly with project planners, representatives of the Tennessee Smokies, and their multi-use development partners. Also in attendance to answer questions were city and county staff, sports authority members, and partner representatives. So my friend Rick and I set off to see if we could get some answers to questions we've been hearing from the community.
Kirchhoffer. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Boyd Sports. We've been involved with the Tennessee Smokies organization for the last 20 years. Obviously, I love minor league baseball, and the prospect of a new stadium is something that's exciting, but I think what is maybe more impactful is the potential economic impact this could have, and the impact that it could have on the downtown community and the East Knoxville community.
I'm just excited to get the stadium back downtown. And then they're going to have retail and public plazas, and it's just going to really activate this area. It'll be kind of a continuation of what you're seeing on Jackson right here. You know how it's pretty lively, and then you had the viaduct, and then it kind of slows down. And so we're going to keep that going.
So right now, the estimated cost of the stadium is around $65 million. Okay, so those costs are still being, construction, like the design isn't even finalized. Part of what we're looking for is, what kind of input that people have. So as the construction costs evolve, that may change. We're looking at a $65 million price tag. So the biggest thing is that we're negotiating $1 million a year lease payment. So over 30 years. That's a $30 million lease payment that the team would be responsible for paying and would be on the line for. So that's important to know. This isn't a stadium that's just going to be turned over to somebody without a lease payment. The second thing is that all of the sales tax collected from concessions, retail sales inside the stadium will go towards paying the stadium debt, right? So there's no sales tax being collected there right now, right? So that's all new revenue.
My point is, even if this was entirely privately funded, all the people that are going to be building all this stuff up, if they were building it, the city is still going to be getting the tax revenue. So it's not getting the tax revenue because we're doing the deal. The city's going to get tax revenue from developing this property regardless, right?
So how long has this property been vacant?
A long time, as long as I can remember.
And how much revenue have we been collecting off this property?
It's going to generate all new business that has never gone elsewhere before.
No.
It's not going to take money from anywhere else.
No, I'm not saying that. I do think. Smile at the wrong camera.
Yeah, Roz,
I gave her one.
oh, you did?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it's good to see you. Okay. Sorry. Yes, please. Feel free to take that. Yes. Feel free to take one of these. No, sir, I'm not saying that.
So like you said, it is very lively over here, and there's a lot of development. And as I was coming in to park my vehicle today, I had a lot of trouble finding a spot. Actually, the only spot available was one in front of a police officer. I guess nobody wanted to park there. So are there any plans to construct additional parking for the stadium?
What they're doing is they're going to increase kind of the CAT and the trolley transit. So if there's like a game day, there will be added parking, but there'll also be, transit routes and increased, greenway pass and other ways of getting here.
So what I'm hearing is there's been parking studies done, but currently there's no plans for additional parking. You said there's plenty of parking within a quarter mile of the stadium radius, but if the stadium is going to be right across the corner here, don't you think most people are going to park in this lot, whether they're supposed to or not?
There will be a lot of parking in this lot.
Can I put my plug in for some safe bike parking?
Yes, we will have bike parking.
For a construction break is laid and the community benefits agreement be in place.
Yes, we'll have a development agreement. It might not be called a community benefits agreement, but it'll be a development agreement that has in writing benefits to the community, including related to equity issues and minority contractors and apprenticeships and all those sorts of things.
What is the role of the sports authority in negotiating any type of a community benefits agreement? There seems to be some confusion as to what
We're
potential.
Okay, well, we're in the beginning
So we're looking at everything. There is a potential, but we haven't even gotten there. We just actually hired a lawyer. We have to get our bylaws, but we'll look at that when that time is. That will probably come up in the next, I'd say, month or so.
Who controls the leases? I've got it.
That's being negotiated right now. I mean, those kind of discussions. So typically, what happens in stadium agreements is there's a manager of the stadium property that manages the concessions and who has concessions inside the property.
Is that not the sports authority in this case?
In some cases, it's the sports authority. In some cases, it's at least the team manages everything. So yeah.
So Boyd Sports could end up managing who gets to lease the concessions.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, you're saying an economic impact study has already been completed. Some other leaders I've talked to have said that an economic impact study commissioned by the county is still
Yes, they've done the one I was referring to is the one that Boyd Sports contracted for and has been using in the conversations that we've been having.
Gotcha.
The city and the county is actually doing one independently, and I'm confident that the results are going to be similar.
Is that a different contractor that you guys use?
Yes, it's a different consultant.
Okay. So you said you're confident that the results are going to be similar for both studies. It'll be a positive economic impact.
Oh, absolutely. I'm very confident of that.
Yeah.
I had another question earlier. You mentioned the estimated cost of the stadium was $65 million.
Yes.
Have any other City of Knoxville projects had recent budget overruns?
Yes, sir.
Could you describe what budget overruns the City of Knoxville has had?
Yeah. So as you're aware, we're building a public safety complex, and that complex the budget was estimated probably about 18 months before the pandemic hit. So those estimates, due to changes that happened during the pandemic, increase in construction and labor costs during the pandemic, costs went up. Probably I think it was about 20%.
Was Convention Sports and Leisure chosen as the company to do the economic impact assessment?
I don't know. I can't. At the top of my head, I don't know the answer to that.
Okay, so
I don't even know if that is.
project for the economic impact assessment, right?
We hired a third party. I don't think it was whatever you said. I don't think that's right. I don't know the answer off the top of my head.
There's a firm called CSL. It's Convention Sports and Leisure. Yes.
Whatever you said, I don't think that's right.
You know anything about the history of CSL, how accurate their estimates?
They do a lot of estimates for. I mean, we vetted them pretty thoroughly.
So Convention Sports and Leisure is the third-party contractor chosen by the city-county group to do the economic impact assessment.
Correct.
So they recently underestimated the cost for a project in Montreal and overestimated the revenue for a project in Washington, D.C. that resulted in millions of dollars of overruns and lost revenue for the cities. What gives you confidence that they're going to produce an accurate economic impact assessment for Knoxville?
Well, I think that I don't know the details of those studies, nor do I know the circumstances of those situations.
We vetted them pretty thoroughly.
With a similar type study, I would have a degree of confidence that they'll be on target.
So Convention Sports and Leisure, the company that's been chosen to do the economic impact study, whether it's by the city or the county or whoever chose them, underestimated cost for their Montreal Stadium by about 20% due to the exchange rate, and overestimated the revenue they expected for the Major League Soccer Stadium in D.C. by about 20%. Since they have a track record of both underestimating costs and overestimating revenue, do you think they're a good choice for the economic impact study for the stadium?
I'd have to verify any of the information you just said, so I can't answer that.
I will send you an email about it. I hope you'll send me a response. Thank you, Mayor.
They do estimates on sports projects all over the country.
Ever produced an estimate that said a stadium would not be revenue positive? That you know of?
Not that I'm aware of.
I wanted to ask about other large Boyd family projects that have occurred recently. I'm sure you're familiar with the Boyd Fantasy Village.
I'm not involved in those in any way.
But I'm sure you're familiar with it.
I don't have any familiarity with those.
Okay. Well, then in that case, I won't ask you about how it did not come to fruition and has not been profitable since it opened. But thanks for your time, Doug.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Less than a half a mile away, we have a serious issue with the homeless population. Okay? All right?
of county.
Given that there's a large homeless population camping within about half a mile of here, what facilities or services does the stadium planning to provide to help alleviate some of the trash and other waste issues? Have there been any considerations made for the homeless population?
You'll have to ask somebody that works for the city of Knoxville.
Kids over there throwing like pitch after pitch.
Given that this location is about half a mile from the homeless services and there's about 200 homeless people camped in this area, do you have any plans to encourage the stadium to make accommodations such as accessible restrooms, or what kind of features do you think we can include to help the population that's here?
That's a good question. We did bring up last week about restrooms, just to be out, so when people are having activities. But I think that's still more to come.
And those people who are least able to advocate for themselves are the ones who are going to feel the brunt of anything that happens. Not could be, they will, they are.
I agree.
Okay, so were these things taken into account when in the planning sessions and all this?
Again, that's not. I'm just.
It's crazy.
We're not.
I mean, did you ever hear in conversation when you were doing these types of things, those types of things that you were taking into account?
What I would do if I were you, if I'm in your position, I would sit down with Stephanie, ask her all that, because that's above my pay grade.
Yeah. You know, I actually have a lot of people I need to talk to. So if we could just get sir, I really appreciate. I don't know your name either.
That's okay. My name's Tyler.
Oh, hey Tyler. It's good to see you. Yeah, it's good to see you too. Listen, I am enjoying this, but I actually do have other people to talk to, and I would be happy to talk with you at a time other than when we have hundreds of. It is. We vetted them pretty thoroughly,